What are you doing there, Ed?
I'm just going over some contracts, Bill, from some of my clients, the harvester clients.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they sent these to me. I just decided to print them out and, go over it. Hey, by the way, did that client of yours get that really big contract you were
Boy, they sure did.
They
It's a
did.
big contract.
Was it,
It's
huh?
a good one.
They're happy now, huh?
Very happy.
Oh, that's awesome. But did they have that contract reviewed by an attorney?
By an attorney?
Yeah.
That'd be probably, when I go like that, that's probably a no.
Probably no. Yeah. Did you find that that's the case? Most the clients you work with, they've never had or it's been a long time since an attorney actually reviewed the contract?
Yeah, probably a real long time, if they even have an agreement or a contract.
Yeah.
Wow, so this is head harvester Bill Arman.
From the West Coast, and I'm the head harvester Ed LaFlamme from the East Coast. And I guess you can tell, we're talking about contracts today and how important it is to have attorneys review your contracts. So we've got a few points we want to cover in our brief time together this morning. One is, make sure you have contracts, no, Bill?
That's a good idea.
That'd be a good idea. Especially residential. A lot of contractors, they do residential work, they've been doing it for years, but they have no agreement. Well, we call it agreements, right?
From a marketing and sales standpoint, agreement's a softer word, but in essence, it's a contract, and it should be in writing.
Yeah. So we do we say agreements for residential and contracts for commercial. That's generally what we do. So let's just talk about a few things. In Connecticut, and every state's different, but I live in Connecticut, and I know that tri-state area, they have a thing called a rescission period. Now, Bill doesn't know what that is.
We just have a decision period.
That's it. But a rescission period it's a waiting period. So after you sign the contract, in Connecticut, for example, it may take 3 days before you can actually begin, because it's a waiting period. Contractor cannot, by law, start that work on a residential project until after that period. And the rescission clause has to be part of the contract or part of the agreement. Okay? If it's not there, it voids the contract.
Wow.
Yeah, so every state's different. So I would encourage you, based on what state you're in, right? And to really check that out with an attorney. Here's another point. And I think, Bill, we were just talking about this before, the auto-renew clause. What do you think about that?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
But that helps you get the job renewed without having that scary moment of asking for an increase.
Moment of decisions.
Yeah, to get an automatic increase built into maybe a 3 to 5 year contract, a CPI, not to see CPI, Consumer Price Index. That'd be a good clause to have in there. That way you don't have to visit it every year.
Many of my residential clients have an auto renew, so it just goes indefinitely, and then they have these little clauses like Bill brought out in there, so it just takes care of the increases. Another one is to have what I call in commercial contracts a remedy clause. In other words, if there's a problem on a job, there's a remedy to solve it. For example, if there's a problem, they would have to notify you in writing, maybe, let's say, give you 7 days to remedy the problem, and then that way you can fix it. They can't just terminate the contract.
Or have another person perform that. They give you the opportunity to fix it rather than somebody else fix it as well.
Perfect. So think about that. And another one that really killed the deal in California for you was that that non-assumable clause. The client was using a old contract that a lawyer never reviewed in 25, 30 years, that it said that you couldn't assume that, no one could assume the contract, which meant that he couldn't sell his business with those contracts because the buyer couldn't assume the contracts without written permission from all the owners. Kill the deal. He lost hundreds and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars because of that one clause. So it's really important that these points are checked, and that every, 2 or 3 years, Bill?
Yeah, every couple of years I'd take a look at it, because laws change, and depending what state you're in, you got to really take a look at that. Now, keep in mind, you want to have it, I prefer to have it on your paper, your contract, your agreement paper, because you can slant it more towards your favor versus your client. Now, sometimes you're going to have that push back and forth. Then the also part, you're going to be a lot of legalese, indemnification, big words like that, which are pretty hard for us to understand. You don't want to try to understand those. Have your attorney look at those and make sure that you aren't jeopardizing your company and your wealth building here, right? So the indemnification clause and all those technical stuff, have an attorney look at. So let's review a couple things we went over today.
One more thing before you do. The insurance. Bill just mentioned indemnification. it'd be easy to take those commercial contracts with all that, you know, insurance ease in there, send it to your insurance people, let them take a look at it. It's not going to cost you anything, and then that way they approve it, and if they need changes, they can do that.
You bet.
Okay.
So let's review. What are the 2 or 3 takeaways here? Have agreements and contracts. Have them in writing, preferably on your paper, not your customer's paper. Have an attorney review them regularly, every couple of years, to make sure you're not in jeopody. What's another one?
The auto renew clause.
Auto renew clause is a great one.
And you know, I just found a client of mine in the South that had an auto renew clause for an HOA. Never seen that before, but he did, and they've had it for years and years.
I think the final thing would be, if it's on your paper, it's your contract, you sign that contract before you hand it to your customer. So that shows that you pledge to that, you're going to hold to that. So you sign your name to that contract.
Good stuff.
That's the final stuff. This is Head Harvester Bill Arman from the West Coast.
And Head Harvester Ed LaFlamme from the East Coast.
Now go out there and harvest your potential with good contracts and agreements.
Absolutely.
You bet. Let's agree on this over here, would you?
Okay.
Take a look at that. Do you think that clause makes sense at all?
I think that's a pretty.
Are you an attorney?
Well, no, but.
Well, then send it to the attorney.
Okay, I will.
What the heck? You just said, isn't that part of your advice?
I know.
Right here. Here, go ahead and sign this, would you please?
No, yeah.